was the scariest thought of, oh my God, can you sue the federal government?
Successfully? Not usually, but in Stephen King's case, yeah, you can. He's actually one of the 8 US-based TikTok creators who are, in fact, suing the federal government and taking their case straight to the United States Supreme Court to try and stop the TikTok ban in just 10 days.
I wanted to participate in this because, number one, like I said, this is my job. This is the voice of 170 million American small business owners, content creators, our First Amendment right to free speech. In addition to that, this is a monumental case, and I absolutely, given the opportunity, wanted to participate in such a historical moment.
Stephen and the other creators involved in this case, Brian Firebaugh, Chloe Joyce Sexton, Talia Cadet, Timothy Martin, Kira Span, Paul Tran, and Christopher Townsend, will all be sitting there right at the Supreme Court as the lawyers for TikTok and the federal government argue in front of the justices tomorrow. So the Supreme Court is going to hear oral arguments in the TikTok ban case at 10 a.m. Eastern. There, of course, are no cameras allowed in the Supreme Court, but if you want to listen to the oral arguments, I will email you the link to it tonight in my Facts HQ newsletter, so make sure you sign up for that. Now back to Stephen and these creators and their lawsuit. Stephen says his First Amendment rights and his livelihood hinges on what happens at the Supreme Court tomorrow. But he says it's not just him. Your First Amendment rights are at stake too.
It's not only for me, it's for everybody that uses their voice on the platform, for whether it's advocacy, education, journalism, travel, vlogging, just family videos. It doesn't matter. That voice will end up being taken away and silenced, because when we no longer have the raw, unfiltered access to this information that's being served to us on the platform, and we have to try and find it somewhere else, we're not going to get it.
And so what you're saying then is, if it's not that it's not possible that you could put your content on other platforms. That is possible. It's just not going to behave the same way. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's not going to behave the same.
The U.S. government has repeatedly said in their legal filings that the 170 million American TikTok users, like Stephen, do not have a First Amendment right to post on an app owned by a foreign adversary. And because TikTok, a US-owned and based company, has a parent company that is based in China, Congress has said it is a national security risk. The government has argued in several legal filings, as I've reported in a lot of detail here on my page, that because of that power structure, China could influence content in America and has the potential to collect wide swaths of American data. Stephen says, so?
It's been hypothetical scenarios that have been presented of, oh, it could, it might be. So it's all based on hypothetical scenarios with no factual evidence. In addition to that, TikTok has gone over and above spending millions upon millions of dollars in Project Texas, where it's securing all American data right here on American soil. I'm more concerned about Meta having my data than anyone else. I mean, how many data breaches and how many lawsuits has Meta gone through about data brokering and everything else right here on American soil? But yet they stand behind Meta.
The fact is, the government has not provided any public proof of why Congress says TikTok is a national security threat. They have, of course, provided secret evidence that only the judges in the DC Court of Appeals has seen and only the Supreme Court justices will have access to. Even TikTok hasn't seen this evidence because the government says it's classified. But what the government has admitted to in their legal filings is that they have no proof that China actually has influenced the algorithm or the content, nor has China actually collected any American data, at least not yet. But the reality is, despite all of that, this ban is real. It is scheduled for January 19th unless the Supreme Court steps in. Stephen says he's just trying to keep the faith.
I haven't really tried to ponder on it and give into the negative thoughts of what ifs.
Mhm.
I have been holding on to optimism and the faith that our First Amendment right to freedom of speech is going to rise above first and foremost, that is going to successfully lead us to a positive outcome.
I will have a full recap video after tomorrow's Supreme Court oral arguments on the TikTok ban case right here on this page.